Hello, I'm Sarah McKenna, and I'm delighted to be back here with Sharon Flood to have another quick chat with regard to the upcoming webinar series. Now, the webinar series is Sustainability in a World Growing in Uncertainty, Risks and Opportunities, Optimizing Performance, Unlocking and Allocating Resources Ahead of Less Resilient Competitors. Now, as I've said in our other messages, this has been a three-webinar series, this being the final one, all hosted by Padda Duffy. And the series is the why, what, and how to regarding sustainability. And all of these webinars have featured extremely qualified speakers, and this final session, the How session, is no different. So today, the final of our taster sessions, we'll be speaking with Sharon Flood on the How. So Sharon, you've agreed to be a speaker for the How aspect of this series. Can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi. Yes, I'm Sharon Flood. I'm an experienced non-exec. So currently I sit on four boards. I've just become the chair of my old university, Bath University, and I chair audit at City Fibre. I sit on the board of Scottish Mortgage, which is FTSE 100 Investment Trust. And I also sit on the board of GetLink, which is the parent company for the Channel Tunnel, a Paris-based board. I've been a non-exec for the last 11 years, and prior to that, I was an executive both in mainly in retail, both in the PLC sector, private sector, and had also done some work in private equity. Throughout my roles, I've tried to find roles where environmental performance has been really, really important, and sustainability. And I've taken that opportunity to move my portfolio to places where I think I can make a real difference. I'm also a fellow of Chapter Zero, which works on upskilling non-execs on climate change. And so I agreed to do this webinar in order to support Chapter Zero's work in helping non-execs have a clearer voice in the boardroom in their role as promoting solutions to climate change.
Excellent. I can absolutely see why you were chosen to speak. What was the reason that you agreed specifically to speak on this webinar? What was it that made you want to be involved with the series?
So the thing I primarily speak about is how to ensure that your ESG strategy is properly integrated into your overall strategy. My background is in finance and strategy, a strategy consultant, and I ended up as director at large, finance director at large retailers such as John Lewis. And my hypothesis is that if you have an ESG strategy that is separate to your main strategy and is not integrated to give you competitive advantage, it will end up not getting done. It will be the thing at the bottom of the list. Whereas if you can properly integrate your strategy, your ESG strategy, into your main strategy and understand how it brings competitive advantage to your organization, then you achieve both. You achieve competitive advantage for your organization, but you also achieve your goals in terms of ESG.
That's great, Sharon. It actually ties in very neatly with something that Padra and I have spoken about, and that's the fact that in this space, it's going to be the money. Go where the money leads and make sure that you look to sustainability to get the money spending, because the insurance agencies, all of those organizations, they are all factoring this into their products. So, quick question, and obviously we need to steer away from being too political here. Do you think that the conflict between political and scientific is going to reduce or worsen in the coming year or two, and why?
Um, I think I am going to duck that question because I'm going to say that it's up to business to build this into their strategies. And I think there is a momentum. I think we're a long way up a lot of the cost curves. And so I think, in a sense, it is for business to look for the competitive advantage that's going to come with addressing this issue, to manage the risks, and to somewhat be agnostic to the political context. Obviously, the political context affects where the following winds are, and you might need to pivot your strategy to be in different following winds. But I think we're seeing already that the momentum and achievements that's come from the business sector means that we shouldn't be overly anxious about the political context. It's our job to take what we're given and deliver the very best we can for our organisations, and that has to include ESG.
Absolutely. And I don't think you ducked the question at all. I think that was an absolutely superb answer. And it's not that we need to ignore what the current leadership has put out there into the market. It's that we just need to do the best regardless of what they say. So yeah, absolutely love that. So before I let you go, I want to ask you one final question, and that is, what's your personal goal for this webinar series? What do you hope the delegates will take away from the sessions?
Um, to not have their climate change and other ESG strategies at the bottom of a very long to-do list, to work out how their organizations can gain competitive advantage. And I can give a few case studies. My experience at Network Rail setting up their environmental sustainability committee, the work we've done at GetLink, where it's central to our trying to open up more train journeys through the tunnel and central to our growth platform, but also central to reducing carbon emissions. The work we did at Pets at Home on food for pet food and how we reduce emissions from that. So I've got lots of interesting case studies that hopefully will prompt people to go back to their strategies and think, actually, have I really thought about how this strategy works for my organization?
I think that's absolutely right. And thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I've really enjoyed what you've had to say. And I look forward to hearing more from you when we get onto the webinar themselves. So that's all we have for today. So thank you, Sharon. Much appreciated for your time. And I will see you in the next one.
Thank you.